Okay, guys. Hello, hi, hey nerds. Hope you're all having a great day. I'm just here to tell you that the next tier list that we do, of course, is colorless. And with colorless, there are going to be some changes, at least for a certain typing of unit, because, well, to cover them, it's not something so simplistic as just going off their base stats. It also requires looking at how people build them and how, they can function as a different type of unit than what, some may see them as. So to give you an example, just so we're clear, the units that I'm talking about here are in fact staff users. And of course, with staff users, they function quite differently when you do them in, certain ways. So, to give you an example, Priscilla is one of my probably closest options when you think about it to an actual nuking staff user, and that she has wrathful staff, she has close counter for some reason, and mostly she's built around damaging people. So whenever you hear this and whenever you look at this, you're like, oh boy, that's a little odd. Yes. And also because of it, her healing, it kind of, well, it's a bit damaged in a sense. She won't heal as well as certain other characters. She'll still heal fairly decently, but, I could give her Live to Serve and, some other, C skill that will probably aid her along that way to make it a little bit easier to use, but right now I focused her on damage. And because of that, her supporting skills kind of got a bit of a knock. And that is what we're going to be doing with staff skill users, is that since they constantly have this issue where you could either choose to make them attack or heal more, efficiently, we're going to be focusing on that and splitting up staff users into two categories. We're going to be looking at both characters in both categories, and instead of spending time trying to explain this in the actual video, because of doing this, the video is going to be longer than what usually it is. I was expecting maybe 30 minutes with colorless because there are so few units, but now that we're going to be doubling up on them, it's probably going to be an hour. So instead, we are going to be ranking the staff users based on two functionalities. How good they are with their stats with support, and how good they are with their stats when it comes to being a nuking staff user, instead of, a healing staff user, a more supportive one. To give an example, I would say Elise is a good example. Unfortunately, I do not have her. Elise has probably some of the best attack in the entire game. And as a attacking user, attack staff user, she would function a lot nicer than even Priscilla there, for many reasons, because, well, she has more attack stats. She also has, decent enough movement and some good heals, so she's also a good supporting healer, but not as good as I feel when it comes down to attacking. So we'll have two different variations of her, Elise as a healer and Elise as an attacker, and we'll be moving them differently on the list to better fluctuate and better, give examples of that. Because otherwise, it's just, just basically giving one staff user a certain stat doesn't, at least me and Jay have kind of, agreed with this in a long way. And I almost sneezed in the middle of that last sentence, I do apologize. Me and Jay kind of agreed to this, basically, that if we just went basic on their base stats alone, they would all kind of end up in one specific location, and that's not something that I feel does healers, or at least, not healers, staff users justice in a lot of ways. Partially because a lot of them can do decently if you build them correctly, and, be it supportive or attacking. The only problem, though, is that you need to pretty much pick or choose. That doesn't mean that they'll be less so at healing, but it does mean that they will probably find a lot more in one side or the other. So therefore, again, splitting them up, we'll have two of each unit, one as attack, one as healing, and again, Elise as an attacker will probably be a bit higher on the list than Elise as a supportive role, just to give you an example. We could potentially do this for other characters, but we feel staff users, since they have such a requirement to actually do you know, more attack-oriented stuff, I mean, you're going to need Wrathful Staff no matter what. I feel that it's a good idea to put these and separate them as best as we can to give you a better idea. Because if you want to build an attack staff user or a support staff user, you'll be able to guess or at least place it on our tier list a bit easier. And this way, they're not just thrown into the tier list with their stats and just went, oh yeah, they're okay, I guess, and then put them in a, you know, A rank, where pretty sure most healers will either end up in A or B rank without having to, you know, actually look at their stats. We want to try and put as much effort into creating this tier list when it comes to putting staff users where they should go as actual units and not just focus only on them, because otherwise we end up with tier lists that just put them all in B rank and don't really, you know, look at the actual stats to them, the actual fun stuff. And I'm trying to God, hold off a sneeze again. Help me, I'm dying. As for the other colorless units, we will of course be putting them as they normally would in a tier list, and that's pretty much all I gotta say to that. I hope you guys will understand. I could go more in depth, but I wanted to do this without, you know, putting it in the actual video when it's going to be much, much longer than it already has to be now. I'm trying to figure out the format and how we're going to present that. I have an idea, so we're going to work with that, hopefully, and maybe, just maybe, things will work out for us and at least a little bit better. So yeah, oh god, there's so much to do. So much to see. So much for taking the... I've already used that joke. Anyways, guys, the tier list for Colorless will be coming very soon, but I still need to work on this, and I still need to make sure that we can properly represent a certain unit base in our tier list without just, you know, making them seem useless. Just how they work in some ways. So yes, I hope you guys will understand. We'll see you all very soon. I love you guys very much, you know, and I hope you're all ready for me to sneeze again, because it's coming. Oh god! Oh god!